Welcome back to The Bottom Line. Stay connected to The Bottom Line in every Now Media TV favorite, streaming live or on demand throughout the Now Media TV platform. And if you're on the go, you can always find the podcast version right at www.nowmedia.tv. I'm telling you, there's a lot of great resources, a lot of great shows, and tons of wisdom ready to tap into. So, as we conclude today's conversation with Wayne Adam Greer, I want to focus on legacy. Now, this topic is very, very important to me, and I know it's very important to Wayne. You know, in a world obsessed with visibility and attention, Wayne teaches something very different. That meaningful influence comes from helping people understand who they are and how they can serve others more effectively. This is something that I think Wayne and I share very deeply. We are here to serve, and through that, we find our fulfillment. And so, Wayne, it's such a pleasure to have you here. I'm glad to be on this final segment with you. I'm excited to dive into that beautiful brain of yours.
Well, it's still a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited too. This has been a great time together.
I'm glad it's been a good experience so far because I'm absolutely loving this. Now, to really kick this segment off, it's a big question, and it's an important one that I do love to ask to a lot of my guests. What does legacy mean to you?
People over accomplishments, leaving that mark. You know, we think about legacy. Most people kind of understand it when you're gone. Then we look at your life and there's the impact you made. I think legacy matters now, right now. I think we can be building our legacy and leaving that mark. But it starts with people over accomplishments. If I'm just trying to build an empire and, you know, some kind of physical structure, so to speak, that's not legacy. It is, how are people being impacted by me? That's the legacy I want. I want my, you know, when people talk about me, to be able to say, man, it was great to know him. And if that can't be done, to know about him isn't legacy. To know him is legacy. So build into that. And I also think that our grandparents, you know, it's been a long time since really every generation would pass down stories. So legacy today, part of that I think is we have to tell the stories of, we have to tell them now. We have to share our life with in different ways, different formats. Write a book, make legacy films, do something. But legacy is putting people first over my accomplishments and making sure they feel that they benefited by my presence being in their life.
I absolutely love that. And it kind of reminded me of the way I used to think, how I used to think of legacy versus how I think of it now. I used to think of legacy in real, just archaic, basic numbers, in the sense of how much money and success do I leave behind, in the sense of financial stability and growth for, you know, the people around me. I thought that is what legacy was. But as I've grown and I've kind of become the person that I am today, you know, legacy to me is pretty much exactly what you just said. It's, I want to leave behind an influence, a platform, a structure, a methodology, whatever it is, to help people identify the gifts that they were given, to discuss, were really to recognize that purpose that they have. If my life, the example I set, leads others after me to find that, that to me is legacy. Service to them over service to me.
That's good.
It's and the way you put it just kind of helped me click that together a little bit better. So thank you for that. But, you know, I'm kind of curious, because what you're talking about and just the approach you have to this is so powerful. You know, how do you want people to remember the work you're doing through the Authority Edge?
Well, I hope that anybody who's come through any of my offerings, there's that when if they leave clear and they understand what their life mission is, whether they understand that to be God's gift to them or not, it's not even the issue. But I do believe everybody on this earth has our Creator created them, each and every one of us, with a purpose. And so if people tap into that, even without acknowledging where that comes from, that's not my concern. But they just recognize this, they wake to that thing inside them, they recognize it, and then they live that out. That is my purpose. That is the point of everything I do. I hope people are better from my presence in their life, not because I was all so awesome, just something I said, something I did, something I exampled. They're better for it. And if I can't do that, not every time you're gonna. Obviously, some people just aren't going to click with you. But if the overall meetings I have and interactions I have, people leave feeling better about themselves, uh, clearer thinking about their mission, then I've done my job, and that's the legacy I hope to leave behind.
I love that. What would you say, what is the impact that you're seeing when people go through your Clarity Lab and your coaching programs? What are the results that you're actually seeing in real time? How do you see people change and evolve? What does that look like for
Yeah.
someone?
Well, they unlock what's already there, and that's the key. That's clarity. That's waking to recognizing what's inside them. If that gets unlocked, and that we talked about imposter syndrome in the last segment a little bit. Even when you get clear, you still have to battle what your brain says and what your heart says. And when we learn to trust that, let our heart come out, that's where the thing lives that was gifted to us, and our brain wants to fight that. There's all kinds of reasons for that. We get educated to fight that. But when people unlock what's there and then embrace it, there's a story from the last Clarity Lab just today. Sitting in a meeting, a person really just didn't know how to describe what they do, but there's passion behind it. We worked it through, and so today, this individual used what was learned last week, and it was wow, it was different, just freer. She felt confident in what she is about and what she brings to the world. So unlock what's already there. People don't need more information. They just need perspective. Uh, they need proper feedback. They need language to that thing that's inside them.
Now, I'm a little bit curious because I know a lot of our audience, there are different stages of life and business and what have you. I know there's a lot of people out there that jump into a career, they get pretty far, and then they come to a place where they realize it's just not fulfilling. It's just not what they hoped it to be. It's just not really sinking in deep. To those people, what advice would you give to them to, when they do, recognize that purpose? What advice could you give them to give them the confidence or whatever it is to just maybe make that leap or go that direction? I know it's a challenging one, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, it's a big challenge. I don't think it gets accomplished the day you discover it, because you got a battle here. And so, first thing I'd say is embrace it. Give it a definition. Write it out. Here's my mission statement, and look at that often. Refine it often. But then surround yourself an opportunity to do that thing. If you believe it's to help people, well, go volunteer somewhere and help. Go start helping. You got to put it in practice, and you're going to bump your knees. You're going to learn along the way, and you're going to keep fine tuning it always. And I think that's the other thing that's important, is that we are learners and we should never stop learning. So that applies to our own identity, who we are. Learn it. Fine tune it, not in the sense of being the perfect polished presenter, but understand as best you can that thing lives inside you. I call myself a clarity strategist. I don't know if that's a real term. I don't know if anyone else, if you'll find that in a dictionary, but that was the way I decided to classify myself. I help people find that thing, that recognize what's inside them, and then we can come and continue working that through and come alongside you. But put yourself in places where that thing you've discovered has to be activated.
Mm. I find that to be extremely powerful. And something that you said there that I love, about the clarity strategist. It's not just helping you discover or helping you, recognize it. It's walking that path with you. It's let's do this together. Let's see what this looks like. Let's see how we can take this thing that you have recognized and turn it into something that you get to practice on a regular basis. And I find there to be so much value and power in that. That is so easily missed. Now, for our viewers, I know this is such a powerful conversation. Where can they find you? Where can they learn more about your work? How can they attend, Clarity Lab or connect with you directly? Where can they find you?
Well, again, go back to WayneAdamGreer.com. Everything is there. All of my classes and books and everything. Yeah, there you are. You'll find everything. Go through all those tabs and click on them, and there's some free resources. There's lots of good things to be part of. I have a Substack, and we have a Authority Edge community. There's lots of ways to be involved, and yeah, call me if you need to. We'll just talk. Start there. But yeah, if you click on WayneAdamGreer.com, you will have everything that I hope can help you.
Now, I'm going to ask you kind of a bit of a fun one. And this is sometimes hard to do, but you're somebody that you just got so much wisdom and experience. It's incredible. If there's one little piece of advice you want to leave our audience with today, one message, what would it be? If they took one thing away from this conversation, what could you say?
I hope they understand clarity. We've said it how many times, but clarity changes everything. If you're stuck, if you're frustrated in life, whatever's going on, if you aren't clear, you'll never get past it. So clarity changes everything.
I love it. Thank you for summing that up. Now, to our audience, really, I'm going to speak on behalf of our audience when I say this. Thank you, Wayne, for joining us today and sharing really this insight on clarity, communication, leadership, personal branding, and, well, living intentionally. And I think that's such a very important part of this conversation, is the intentionality behind not only creating clarity, but just pursuing what it is that you recognize in yourself. Now, at the bottom line, we believe that success is built on more than talent. It's built on trust, consistency, purpose, and the courage to communicate who you are with confidence. Something I like to say, success isn't given, it's earned. And to earn it, you have to become the type of person that deserves it. Now, and as Wayne reminds us, lasting influence isn't created by being louder, it's created by being clear. So again, I'm Ryan Herpin. It's such a pleasure to have you today. Don't miss the next episode of The Bottom Line right on Now Media Television. We'll see you next time.